World's Day Against Trafficking in Persons, SEPA CGS is excited to have you all here at its first webinar, Human Trafficking and Pandemic, a Crisis. The global economic crisis, along with the increasing unemployment due to the lockdown, has produced conditions ripe for trafficking. While some of the COVID-19 preventive measures have effectively hindered certain criminal opportunities in the short term, smugglers and traffickers have found ways to overcome them. Given the current scenario, SEPA CGS feels that it is important to have a discussion on how the pandemic and the lockdown has impacted human trafficking and how the state authorities and various non-governmental organizations are responding to it. First, I'd like to introduce the panelists for this session. Dr. Roma Debabrata is the founder and managing trustee of the Ramola Bharat Charitable Trust and president of STOP, a global movement which focuses on the eradication of trafficking and oppression against women and children. She has also been awarded by the Ashoka Fellow for Human Rights for her dedicated efforts. Our next speaker is Ms. Rani. She is here to speak about her experience and journey of rehabilitation and as a survivor. She has been closely working with STOP India. So the webinar will touch upon these various topics. First is human trafficking, migrant trafficking, sex trafficking, child trafficking during COVID-19, reasons why trafficking is taking place among these persons. Second is statistics on trafficking before and during COVID, which show that there has been an increase in trafficking during COVID. Third is Indian and international laws against human trafficking. Fourth is Ma'am's experience of working for advocacy and rehabilitation of human trafficking survivors before and during COVID, her achievements and challenges. Fifth is Ms. Rani's experience of her journey of rehabilitation as a survivor. So without further ado, I'll open the floor to Ms. Rani, but first I would open it for Ms. Dr. Roma Debabrata to speak a few words. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much, SEPA, for calling me and my child, Rani, also. And it's a long journey. You will be hear from her that how much she is able and courageous she is to combat all the forms of exploitation, during this journey. First, she speaks on, and after that, I'll take the cue and I'll be talking on the subject. But first, I'm giving floor to Rani, my child, my courageous, my brave child, Rani. Floor to Rani, please.
So, Rani ji is going to talk on rehabilitation. आज आप पुनर्वास पे जो भी आप कहना चाहते हैं, आपकी जर्नी क्या रही है, उसके बारे में आप बताएं.
मेरा जर्नी तो ये रही है बहुत ही ज्यादा कठिन और
Rani ji, if the organizers are all right, then would it be okay if I work as a stimulate the conversation with her?
Yes, ma'am. Obviously.
All right. तो रानी जी आप बताइए आपकी जर्नी शुरू कहाँ से?
मेरा तो गांव से हुई थी मेरा.
किन कारणोंवश आपको आपका गांव छोड़ना पड़ा?
मुझे इसलिए छोड़ना पड़ा कि वहाँ पे मैं एक कुछ मतलब मेरा उधर का इंसान मुझे सपोर्ट नहीं किया ना, इसलिए मुझे छोड़ना पड़ा.
आपको सपोर्ट की क्या उम्मीद थी?
मेरे साथ कोई भी नहीं है, मुझे गलत बोला गया मुझे, इसलिए छोड़ना पड़ा गाँव. आप गलत हैं इसलिए.
तो फिर रेस्क्यू वगैरह रिकवरी, वी डू नॉट प्रेफर यूजिंग द वर्ड रेस्क्यू. rather the organization practices their vocabulary. So recovery is the terminology that we often use in our practice. तो आपकी जब रिकवरी हुई तब आपका आपका इमोशनल स्पेस, आपकी भावना, आपको क्या काम आता था? आज से 20 साल पहले मैं समझती हूँ आपकी रिकवरी हुई।
मुझे उस समय मुझे कुछ भी नहीं आता था। मैं उस समय कुछ भी नहीं जानती थी।
आपकी उम्र?
उस समय मेरा ज्यादा नहीं 16-17 साल की थी। उस समय मेरा मुझे खुद नहीं पता मैं क्या करूंगी।
और जब आप स्टॉप में आई तब आपकी मानसिकता किस तरफ आपको ले जा रही थी?
मतलब मुझे उस समय सोचने का वो ही नहीं था कि मैं क्या करूंगी लाइफ में या मैं क्या करना चाहती हूँ, ये मुझे खुद पता नहीं चल रहा था। फिर आस्ते आस्ते मुझे समझ में आया कि वहां पे मुझे क्या करना है। मुझे मतलब सिखाया, मुझे ऐसे काम करना है, काम करोगे, या ऐसे दूसरे को देख के मैं खुद सीखी। दूसरों को देखा, मैंने खुद सीखा कि ऐसे करने से लाइफ आगे बढ़ेगी, या मैं खुद अपने पैर में खड़ा हो सकती हूँ, या आगे जाके मैं कुछ कर पाऊंगी लाइफ में।
अच्छा, तो आपकी वो जो जर्नी रही, इसमें आपको इमोशनली आप कैसा फील करती थी?
मैं ऐसे फील कर रही थी कि मैंने कौन सा ऐसा गुनाह कर दिया बहुत बड़ा कि मेरे को या मुझे अपने गांव वाले मुझे सपोर्ट नहीं किया, बट मेरा फैमिली वाला ने मुझे सपोर्ट नहीं किया। मुझे खुद अपने फैमिली वाला ने मुझे बोला कि आपके चलते हमारे घर में वो खराब हो जाएगा, या तो आप चली जाओ यहाँ से। तो मैं इसीलिए गांव छोड़ के आ गई हूँ।
तो आपने फिर अपने पैरों पे अपने आप को आत्मनिर्भर बनाने के लिए क्या कदम उठाए?
मैंने अपना पैर में खड़ा होने के लिए बहुत सी वो किया। मैंने सोचा कि ऐसे तो कुछ नहीं करूंगी तो लाइफ में कुछ भी नहीं कर पाऊंगी मैं। तो इसीलिए काम सीखा, सिलाई का हो गया, ब्यूटी पार्लर का हो गया, खाना बनाना, कुकिंग का हो गया, ये सब सीखा मैंने और यही काम कर रही हूँ।
और अभी आप क्या कर रही हैं?
अभी तो काम ऑफिस में काम हो रहा है, ऑफिस मतलब ऑफिस देखभाल कर रही हूँ, ऑफिस में काम कर रही हूँ और दूसरे को भी सिखा रही हूँ मैं कि ऐसे काम करने से ऐसे होगा, या मुझसे छोटे हैं उनको पता नहीं होता है कि कैसे करना है, उन लोगों को भी सिखाना पड़ता है।
तो क्या आपको लगता है कि आपके सिखाने से जो बच्चियां हैं, छोटी बच्चियां, उन पर एक पॉजिटिव, एक सकारात्मक प्रभाव पड़ता है?
कि मैं उनको यही चीज सिखाती हूँ कि जो चीज मैंने लाइफ में वो किया है, संघर्ष किया, वो चीज इनके ये लोग ना देखे। ये सब चीज कि एनी टाइम उन लोगों को मैं सपोर्ट करती हूँ कि ऐसा मत करो या ऐसा मत करो, क्योंकि हमने देखा है ये सब चीज। तो इसीलिए आप लोगों को समझा रही हूँ कि ऐसा ना करने से आपकी लाइफ अच्छा चलेगी, या आगे निकल के अच्छा इंसान बनोगे, या अच्छा आप कुछ कर पाओगे लाइफ में।
तो रानी जी, मैं आपसे जानना चाहूंगी, रादर समझना चाहूंगी कि ये जो जर्नी होती है रिकवरी से लेके रिहैबिलिटेशन की, पुनर्वास, इसमें क्या क्या वो गैप है या चैलेंजेस है या प्रॉब्लम है जो कि एक सर्वाइवर को फेस करना पड़ता है?
इसमें ये देखो, जिसका साथ बीता हुआ है वही फेस करता है। वो अगर उस इंसान ने अगर लाइफ में ये बीते हुए बात जो चीज उसका साथ हुआ उसने अगर फेस कर लिया तो लाइफ में वो आगे बढ़ने से मतलब आगे निकल ही जाएगा। वो पीछे मुड़ के कभी नहीं देखना चाहिए कि मेरे साथ क्या हुआ पीछे, वो नहीं देखना चाहिए, आगे बढ़ना चाहिए।
और आपने कहा कि आप अभी कुकिंग करती हैं, तो उसके बारे में बताइए, क्योंकि वही आपका इनकम जनरेशन के लिए भी आपकी मेन सोर्स है। तो आप क्या उसमें क्या सीखी और क्या करती हैं?
उसमें बेकरी का सीखा मैंने, कुकिंग, खाना बनाना किस तरह से बनाना है, कैसे वो करना है, कैसे हैंडल करना है, या हमारा ऑर्डर आता है, ऑर्डर हैंडल करना पड़ता है, फिर उसी थ्रू टाइम के अनुसार उनको डिलीवरी करना पड़ता है, टाइम के अनुसार उनको देना पड़ता है। और मेरे साथ हैं उनको भी सिखाना पड़ता है कि ऐसे करने से ऐसे होगा, ऐसा करेंगे तो ऐसे चलेगा। ये
क्या आप रिहैबिलिटेशन में आप काफी आगे बढ़ चुकी हैं, आप कम्युनिटी में भी बहुत अगवानी लेके और काम करती हैं, लोगों को सिखाती हैं, ट्रेन करती हैं। क्या आपकी कभी भी आपने सोचा है गांव वापस जाने को?
गांव जाके मैं क्या करूंगी? वहां पे कुछ नहीं है गांव में, बस दूसरे का मुंह देखो, ताने सुनो, कुछ भी नहीं है। वहां पे जाके क्या करूंगी गांव में? यहाँ पे अपना काम कर रही हूँ, थोड़ा बहुत पैसा कमा रही हूँ, अपने बच्चे, अपनी लाइफ देखूंगी आगे, मुझे क्या करना है। मेरा लाइफ तो अभी और भी आगे देखना है। गांव जाके मैं कुछ भी नहीं है गांव में, बस वही खेती बाड़ी तो है ही नहीं कि खेती बाड़ी करे, या गांव में कोई भी नहीं है और दूसरे का ताने सुनना है कि बस तुम्हारा खत्म हो गया दिल्ली में घूमना। ये सब चीज, बहुत सारे चीज मेरे क्वेश्चन करेंगे, बस क्या किया लाइफ में वहां रह के, फिर दोबारा लौट के आ गई गांव में, ये सब चीज मुझे पूछेंगे, मुझे अच्छा नहीं लगेगा। फिर वही चीज, पुरानी बातें याद आती हैं, इसीलिए।
तो अभी आपको अगर अंदाजा हो, आप बता सकती हैं ऑडियंस को कि आपके गांव में आज की तारीख में, आप 15-16 साल की थी जब वहां से निकली थी, आज 15-16 साल की जो बच्चियां हैं या उससे कम छोटी बच्चियां हैं, आपके गांव में उन बच्चियों की क्या परिस्थिति?
उनका अभी देखो, स्कूल गरीब है, कोई अभी इतना कोई पढ़ा लिखा नहीं पढ़ा रहे हैं, क्योंकि घर में खाने के लिए नहीं होता उन लोगों के पास। तो वो काम करते हैं, इनका घर में काम करते हैं, किसी का घर में काम कर रहे हैं, या कोई खेती में जाके, दूसरे के खेत में जाके काम कर रहे हैं। कोई जो कमाते हैं 10-20 रुपया एक दिन में, वही लेके अपना खर्चा चला रहे हैं घर में।
आप क्या मानती हैं कि ये जो बहुत बात होती है, सरकार में भी बहुत बात करती है, एनजीओ के नेटवर्क्स भी बहुत कुछ कहते हैं, रिहैबिलिटेशन जिसको बोलते हैं कि एक इंसान को ऐसा एक ट्रॉमेटाइज्ड, एक बहुत बुरे अरसे के बाद में उसको वापस तैयार करना ताकि वो सोसाइटी के साथ घुल मिल सके। क्या आपको लगता है उसके लिए आप क्या मानती हैं कि क्या चीजें होनी आवश्यक है, तब जाके आप सोसाइटी में फिर से वो स्थान ग्रहण करेंगे?
तो मेरा ये कहना है कि उसका फीलिंग समझो, उसको आगे बढ़ने के लिए आशा दो, ठीक है। और उसको कभी भी उसको ये चीज याद मत दिलाओ कि आपके साथ ये हुआ था, कि आप ऐसे ही हैं। उसको कभी वो चीज याद मत दिलाओ, उसको आगे बढ़ने के लिए सपोर्ट करते रहो हमेशा। क्या पता उसका मन में भी ये इच्छा हो जाए कि हाँ, वो आगे बढ़ सके, ये मेरे साथ ये लोग इतना अच्छा वो कर रहे हैं, इसलिए मैं यही कहना हूँ।
Shivangi, I think for now, then we can move forward with the program. One thing that I would like to truly stress on here is what Rani ji is saying. We often think that, merely by giving them the skill of a trade, it is going to help them rehabilitate. There is much gap between rehabilitation, which is a huge umbrella, and mere economic stability, empowerment, self-sufficiency, which needs to be realized in policy and in practice. Rehabilitation has a huge area where emotions are of major concern. Psychological stability, psychological state is of a big concern. And if those things are ignored, then rehabilitation could not fully be achieved, is what I have gauged from Rani ji has just said. Over to you, Shivangi.
थैंक यू रानी जी। आपने जो हमें बताया, आपने अपनी स्टोरी जो हमसे शेयर करी, उसके लिए जितना करेज आपको लगा होगा, ये जर्नी पूरी करने में जो आपको जो करेज लगा होगा, उसको हम लोग काफ़ी अप्रिशिएट करते हैं, और आपसे ही हमें हिम्मत मिल रही है कि हम लोग इस पे और आगे जाके भी काम कर पाएं। अभी आई विल स्विच ऑन एंड मूव ऑन टू आवर नेक्स्ट स्पीकर, Dr. Ruma Devabrata. Ma'am, if you could take on the floor now. Ma'am, please unmute yourself.
Do you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So I prefer that I'll be taking some questions, probable questions, and I'll go ahead with them. First thing is, what is the definition of victims of human trafficking? We must know that. First we must know that there are several definitions, but we abide by the UN protocol, Article 3 of the UN protocol, to prevent, suppress and punish trafficking in persons, especially women and children, supplementing the United Nations Convention Against Transnational Organized Crime adopted on 15th of November 2000. The definition follows: trafficking in person shall mean the recruitment, transportation, transfer, harboring or receipt of persons by means of the threat or use of force or other forms of coercion, of abduction, of fraud, of deception, of the abuse of power, or of a position of vulnerability, or of the giving or receiving of payments or benefits to achieve the consent of a person having control over another person for the purpose of exploitation. Exploitation shall include, at a minimum, the exploitation of the prostitution of others or other forms of sexual exploitation, forced labor or service, slavery or practices similar to slavery, servitude, or the removal of organs. So now we are talking about not only trafficking for commercial sexual exploitation, we are talking of trafficking for several reasons, including the migration for the exploitation of services. We have recovered several people who are trafficked in the form of migration, for organ transplant, for bonded labor, for domestic servitude. We have recovered many people from that. And so the next point is that who is a trafficker and who is prone to trafficked. And if you have got question in between, please ask me, because I prefer, being a teacher for 45 years in Delhi University, I prefer that you should ask me the question, because I don't know about your, how much you know about human trafficking and why human trafficking should be dealt separately from the smuggling of migration. So you are free to ask me questions in between if you feel so. Should I go ahead, or you will be asking me some questions? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. The questions will be either posed in the chat box or they'll raise hands. And if I get one, I'll pass it on to you.
Okay, fine, fine. So now, the second question I was thinking of, that is human trafficking a crime that must involve some form of travel, transportation, or movement across state or national borders. We recovered several people from inside the country and across the border. So yes, the human trafficking is a crime which involves some forms of travel or transportation or movement across the border or national borders. So trafficking means why it should be dealt separately from, say, rape or abduction or luring or cheating. You must know that trafficking has got all these elements imbibed in it, but at the same time, why it should be dealt separately? Because of the reason it has got extra point, extra aspect, that which is more than only the transportation, only the abduction, only the rape, or only, it should be dealt with under the heinous crime section. You go to any police station, you will be seeing there is a chart hanging on the wall of the thana or the police station that is called a heinous crime. under that rape, robbery, murder, and it should be dealt, the trafficking, in this category, especially under the heinous crime category. Otherwise, you can't be able to combat it because of the reason that it is the third, fourth, sixth, fifth, sixth preference of the local state. They are overworking, they are always overworked, so there is not much time for dealing with these trafficking cases. You must understand, the police and the government must understand that this trafficking is also a heinous crime. Why? Why? Because this transportation, because this movement across the national border, because of the exploitation, it all included in these forms of exploitation. If a person, say, if a person is raped, that's very, very bad and very cruel, and it's a exploitation to the highest degree. But if you think about a traffic victim for commercial sexual exploitation, it is happening not only once, not only twice, it is happening every day, several times for that. So why rape is a heinous crime and trafficking is not? If you think that it is murder, it is less than murder, I must say, in this trafficking, the murder happens not only for physically or the human body, it murders your senses, it murders your sensitivity, it murders your soul. So it should be categorized under the heinous crime. And what is trafficking? You must say that what are the reasons? What are the reasons of trafficking? And now we are thinking that it must be the human trafficking is going to be one of the biggest concern, not only under the wide umbrella of gender justice, but also a major humanitarian crisis. There are multiple push and pull factors that leads to an individual being trafficked. Push factors such as lack of economic stability, lack of education, societal norms such as child marriage, early marriage, dowry, societal structure as grassroots level, and pull factors such as livelihood opportunities, better lifestyle, freedom will continue to play its role. If I have got the ambition or desire to send my child for education to UK or US, why not a child dream about that going abroad and earning a lot of money and maybe the opportunities? So it is no crime, but it is being criminalized by the opportunists, those who are living, thriving on the misery of this kind of, like Rani. She was, when she was recovered, she was 16 years old and 9 months pregnant. She never knew that she was pregnant. And when she came to know of that, when she was recovered, when she came to know about that, she wanted an abortion. But the so-called custodial home for her, they thought that she was a beautiful girl. So she will be delivering a beautiful child as well. And the child should be given to some adoption. So she was not allowed. And when she delivered a child, then the same agency wanted to give her the child for adoption. She said, अगर 9 महीना पेट में रख सकी, तो अभी अब मैं इस चाइल्ड को भी, इस बच्चे को भी मैं पाल लूंगी. इतना करेज, मैं जब रानी बोल रही थी, मैं सुन रही थी कि इतना करेज बहुत कम लोगों को होता है. और उसके बाद जब रेस्क्यू के बाद, जब गवर्नमेंट के साथ, गवर्नमेंट का ए होके दिल्ली में रिकवरी के बाद, she came from Jhargram, Jharkhand. I took her to Jharkhand, and with the district magistrate on the board, I gave the custody of her to the district magistrate, and he promised, under the direction of Delhi High Court, that he'll be taking care of her well-being from now onwards. After that, she fell ill of meningitis. She didn't get any help from anybody, and she called me up and she said, "Mummy, hame le jao idhar se." I went there, I brought her back. And now the situation is, rescue is not enough. After rescue, and I was questioned in Stockholm that you are recovering so many people. After that, what? That put me into thinking that recovery is not only the answer, it should be done that after recovery, we have to have a plan that what we are going to do is this human, she is not an object. She's a human being. She has got her personal desire, aspiration. She has got her own conditions. She wants to go ahead in life like any other people. So what is our plan to give her that rehabilitation program? So now the push and pull factor of trafficking we knew, and what is the legislation aiming at curbing trafficking in India? That has got 4 main laws. Suppression of Immoral Trafficking in Women and Girls Act, 1956, that's called CETA. The Immoral Trafficking Prevention Act, that's called ITPA. ITPA, in the premier legislation for prevention of trafficking for commercial sexual exploitation. Criminal Law Amendment Act 2013 has come into force, wherein section 370 for the Indian Penal Code has been substituted with section 370 and 370A IPC. Protection of Children from Sexual Offences, POCSO Act 2012, which has come into effect from 14th November 2012, is a special law to protect children from sexual abuse and exploitation. It provides precise definitions for different forms of sexual abuse, including penetrative and non-penetrative sexual assault, sexual harassment. India as a nation has startling legislations that you can read about, but there are also challenges such as lack of training and implementation that needs special attention and consideration. International laws in India, as compared to legislation of many countries, India has a much well-designed legal provisions. UN Convention is there. India has ratified the United Nations Convention on Transnational Organized Crime, UNCTOC, which has as one of its protocol prevention, suppression and punishment of trafficking in persons, particularly women and children. There are SAARC Convention also. India has ratified the SAARC Convention on preventing and combating trafficking in women and children for prostitution. A regional task force has constituted to implement the SAARC Convention. 5 meetings of regional task force have been held so far. 5th meeting was held at Paro, Bhutan from 11th and 12th April 2013. It's pretty old. Now we have to move forward. Bilateral mechanism, there are bilateral mechanism for dealing with cross-border trafficking and to address the trafficking issues related to prevention of trafficking, victim identification, and repatriation. When we started working some 25, 30 years back, then we also never knew the, the word repatriation. It used to be pushback. The government used to catch hold of some people called illegal migrant. They used to push them off. We are the people, along with our partners all over the region, we started to work against this pushback mechanism. We started the word repatriation with dignity and respect. So a task force of India and Bangladesh was constituted. So far, 5 meetings of task force between India and Bangladesh have been held. 5th meeting was held on 17th, 18th August 2015 at Dhaka, Bangladesh. Furthermore, a memorandum of understanding, MOU, between India and Bangladesh on bilateral cooperation for prevention of human trafficking in women and children, rescue, recovery, repatriation, and reintegration of victims of trafficking was signed in June 2015. STOP worked closely with the government of India on this MOU from its inception and for implementation. Have you got any question further?
Yes, ma'am.
Please.
One question is from Rinalini. Could you
Yes.
also talk about how sufficient are the different international and national laws?
What is?
Could you also talk about how sufficient are the different international and national laws?
Look, we have got wonderful laws. We really have got wonderful laws, but implementation is lack of implementation, making these laws invalid sometimes, not always. But yes, we are having lots of laws and we are trying, the GOs and NGOs, we are working for implementation of this law. Laws are sufficient, implementation is less. So we have to work for that. Now, if you want to know about the legal proceedings, I'll go for that. But now I think that more important is to say that in this COVID situation, in this pandemic, how this crime is heightened up. So we have to know that. The COVID-19 global pandemic has jolted the whole world in the aftermath of crisis that brought up numerous socio-economic challenges, starting from hunger crisis to creating spaces that further increase unsafe environment for women and children around the world. COVID crisis has highlighted the already persistent and prominent issues of the society. There have numerous cases of domestic violence that have been recorded. The rise in violence behind the closed door and outside of a house will only continue to increase. Instances of child abuse have also been rocket high during the lockdown period in India. Combining these instances of violence and adding factors such as hunger and poverty makes it a lethal situation. Women and children become highly at risk of being trafficked. Post-COVID scenario. Yes, it is yet to be called as post-COVID because it's going on still. Scenario is going to raise several challenges as all of the above mentioned factors will highlight the addition of other factors. These are the common issues that leads to trafficking of migrant workers and sex trafficking. The area of child abuse and exploitation requires a different approach. Unlike trafficking occurring under disguise of job, child trafficking cases increasingly have found usage of online digital platform. This is becoming a serious problem. It has been reported that India witnessed 95% of jump in demand for child pornography during lockdown. This was 20 times jump than usual demand. Such data are alarmingly, especially now the children are now out of schools and encouraged to take online classes. families where information and technique for safe use of internet is not clear, places children under high risk and make them vulnerable to further exploitation. These are the challenges that stand opposing practitioners, government, and overall citizens of the nation, putting children at risk. And now, yes, please, some questions I can see in the screen. Please send this question
One
to
question is, can you elaborate on the politics of using the term recovery instead of rescue?
what is policy of? Now, politics.
Can you elaborate on the politics of using the term recovery instead of rescue?
Yes, because of the reason that if you are rescuing somebody, that means that you are undermining the potential of the victimized people there. Recovery may be from the exploitative situation, you are recovering them. Rescue means you are at the higher podium, and whom you are recovering or rescuing, she is in the lowest position. We think that whom we are recovering, they are from poor background, they don't have any knowledge, and they are being pushed into this disastrous situation because they don't have, they're poor and they don't have any kind of knowledge on that. I must inform you that at the middle of night at 12 o'clock, my door was knocked. And when I opened the door, I saw a very, very high official from External Affairs Ministry, long time back. His only child, girl child, was trafficked to interior of Nepal by his driver. And we recovered the child. She knows everything. She is in a high school standard. She got the most privileged upbringing. But the driver she trusted, and the driver was given her the comfort level of talking to her, because both the parents were working outside. So most of the time she was alone at home. So she got the comforts of a family and family touch from that man, and assuring her for a most comfortable family atmosphere, she was trafficked. So rescue word, almost every time it gives you the feeling that you are at a higher podium and you are knowledgeable, you have got the power, so you are rescuing her. It's not that. You have got the chance and you have got the facilities to recover these people. So that's why we don't use the word rescue. We use the word recovery from a less privileged situation or from an exploitative situations. Any other question, please? Any other questions?
Yes, ma'am. Following up on that, could you please tell us about the various steps involved in the process of recovering individuals?
Now I think that it has to be, look, there is no rule. There is no formed guidelines on that. And recovery, it depends, it is time to time, the information you received, it is always the information you received about a particular girl or a woman, that you have to go according to the informations. And mind that when you go for recovery operations, it is highly confidential. if the information is leaked out, there are so many times it happened with us. If the information is leaked out, you miss the girl. And if you miss the girl once, you lost her forever. That is the most, it sounds very dramatic that we are going for anyone comes to us, first thing, she or he wants to go for a rescue operation. And because it is very dramatic, it's very, very thrilling, and it's very, because you can see the results in your own eyes. But first thing is information collection. Then you have to chalk out a plan according to the information. You have to set your animators or your people in your rescue or recovery team to give them specific work to be on their spots. Come what may come, they won't be able to leave their position. I am giving you one instance. One of our recovered child who became activist and leader of our recovery team. She got the information. She was young. She was 21, 22. Whole lot of police officials under her directions, and they're following her and the rescue team. And we planned accordingly that we send the decoy customer, and decoy customer was inside the, I'm talking about the brothel-based recovery operations. She went there, she located the girl with our decoy customer, and when she reached there, police party, they were the another side, and she, with her experience, she could locate the girl immediately and client was out, and she went inside, only the girl, and she went inside and hugged the girl tightly. She was wearing a burqa because her identity was not to be open because of the reason that she was an activist and she'll be going for several recovery operations later also. So she was wearing a burqa, and the girl was without any clothes, on her. And first thing she did, she clinged on her hijab, that niqab, and the whole that burqa was wrapped around the girl. And immediately what happened, that the small cubicles, they have got several openings on the wall, under the, that cot. There are several, and 3-4 women and men came into that and pounced onto her. They wanted to first take out the niqab, and then, both of them were supposed to be pushed into that tunnel. And once they could do it, and both of them, we would lose both of them simultaneously. But with her experience and her courage, what she did, she hugged the child and asked the child to hug her tightly. She knew the opening of that hidden place, the tunnel, it was so small that both of them can't be pushed together one by one. So they were hugging each other tightly, and the women and men, they wanted to separate them, but they couldn't do it. So, and after that, in the meantime, she was having her that cell phone with her, and she just pushed one button, so that I was sitting in the local DCP's office, and she just sent the message that we are in trouble. We did some kind of work on that if she's in trouble, she'll push the button and I'll come to know that. And immediately the police force were alerted, and they entered inside. They broke open the door of that, and both of them were recovered. So you have to be very careful about the surprise elements during the recovery. So, and now the thing is, there are always surprise elements regarding the recovery operations. Any other questions, please?
Yes, ma'am, many. So,
Please do.
how is the rehabilitation of minor victims done in cases considering that their homes may not be safe spaces?
Rehabilitation, you said rehabilitation. You said rehabilitation.
Yes, ma'am.
Shivangi, I would just like to maybe clarify if permitted by ma'am. I understand. So just to clarify the stages, there's the rescue recovery, there's rehabilitation, there is repatriation thereafter for the people who have been trafficked from trans-border trafficking, and there is restoration. I think the question is asking about restoration, where the home verification is of a major concern. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right.
If,
please.
yes, please carry on.
So the next question is, how is trafficking recorded in the NCRB when it occurs with other offenses such as rape?
Janki, are you going to answer this question?
Yes, but if possible, can we go back to, because I did not really answer, we did not answer the previous question on repatriation.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
So, ma'am, would you like to speak on repatriation?
Repatriation or restoration? Repatriation is across the border.
Yes.
And restoration is within the country.
I think you want to know just home verification process and the modalities involved there.
Okay. So this stage is both the thing, restoration and repatriation is the same, because we contact the based on the evidence given by the statement given by the survivor or victimized child, and we start searching for her home. Home verification, most of the time when they first come, they tell all lies. Name is fake, father's name is fake, residence is fake, and after that, whatever she is saying, everything is untrue, because of the reason that they don't trust you. They think that you are the biggest trafficker or dalals, and you are going to sell her again because of exchange of money. So they don't trust you. So you have to, it is a long procedure when you could able to do the trust building. Then you go for another series of statements, on the basis of that, you start the home verification. Look, if it is across the border, then we are in touch with our regional collaborators or partners, or if it is inside the country, within the country, then each and every state in India, we have got our partners. So we go to them. We never restore them or send them back, directly to their parents or their families. First, there is a process of home verification, taking into account of the local thanas and the magistrates and CWCs. Now, after that, once the verification is done, then we contact the local organization, NGOs, with the local administration, government administration. Through them, we take them along with us, and local police and local administration and local NGOs are involved, very much involved in this, so that, like Rani's case, we restored her, taking into in the confidence of the district magistrate's office, local police, but the result is such horrible experience we had gone through. Then anyway, but the process is well established during the time period, and we restored them with the involvement of the local police and NGOs and involvement of the government officials. If it is across the border, then we send all the newer version of the victims or the survivors or the exploited child and women's documents to the local regional partners, and then they go to door to door and contact the local administration and police, and then they send us the information or assurance or the confirmation that the child has given you the right information, right statement. And then we start our work. Previously when we started the work, then it was very difficult to convince our Indian government, the Ministry of Home people, Ministry of External Affairs, that we are not going to traffic the children, but we are going to reunite them or repatriate them. It was once I was asked by an official from Ministry of Home that how do we know that you are not trafficking this child? How do we know that you are not telling a lie? How do you know that you will be taking her to her rightful family people? I was asked. And so it took a long time to make them believe that we are not traffickers. I am a university professor for 45 years. I have taught there. I have got my credential. My organization has recovered more than 3,000 people from all over the exploitative situations, and at least 1/3 or half people were restored or repatriated safely, and they are doing well. Anyway, so then we take that information armed with the permission from the Ministry of Home, either from Bangladesh or from Nepal. We get mostly the across the border victimized children from these two countries. Armed with their permission, then we go to our Indian Home Ministry and the FRRO. Then they issue the permission of leave the country, and that permission they give, and then with the contact details of the local NGOs there, we start the procedure. Then we take the exit order from the FRRO Indian government. Then we repatriate them to the concerned organization of those countries, and so that the family people, the families of those children or girls or women, they come and contact the local NGOs there, and they, after some times, once the situation is settled and they're in a position to take care of their girls, then they take it. Many a times they don't take them, and the girl is being trained and employed in those organizations. Any other question?
Yeah. How
So
is
both the governments are related. Both the governments are in very much in the picture. This is the transfer or the repatriation between these two countries. Our country has to agree and their country has to agree that, and to believe and to establish the link of those people, these people, into their countries, their local address and everything. Any other question, dear?
yes, ma'am. How
Yes.
is trafficking recorded in the NCRB when it occurs with other offenses such as rape?
Such as
Rape.
rape.
Yes.
I really didn't understand your question.
How is trafficking recorded in the NCRB when it occurs with other offenses such as rape?
So,
The question is, it's not only rape, it's multiple rape. NCRB, if they prefer, because if they, I'm not sure, if they want to record it as rape because to wash their eyes and to believe that it is only rape, not trafficking, then I've got nothing to say. But NCRB, but the most important thing is now NCRB is also partnering with the NGOs and police and district administration and the local administrative authorities to get the real picture of trafficking. Yes, those who are trafficked, not everybody is for commercial sexual exploitation. Those who are missing, not everybody is trafficked. These are truth. But there are so many cases that they are trafficked, they are missing, they are trafficked, they are commercially sexually exploited, and sometimes they're only raped. And I'm telling you that not each one of those who are trafficked, not each one of them are trafficked for the purpose of commercial sexual exploitation or rape.
so
They
I
are,
would, if possible, I would just like to take further what ma'am is saying. So
please.
when we're talking about data collection for NCRB, NCRB has, it depends. So every year for the data collection that they do in terms of trafficking particularly, it depends on the patterns that they've established. So to answer that question, not every year something like child marriage, like in the recent report, child marriage is not included in the area of trafficking. And so there are such differences, such patterns keep differing with NCRB reports. Besides that, the data collection overall in the country, when it comes to cases of human trafficking, it requires much more effort than what is being put at the current moment, because leaving aside the unreported cases, even the ones which are reported, because as ma'am said, trafficking occurs under the disguise of many other crimes, and so it sometimes becomes very difficult to pinpoint and be assertive about the fact that this is a case of human trafficking. But then that's where advocacy comes in place, to keep working closely with government, to partner with them and help assist them in having a more comprehensive data collection process.
Yes. Any other questions?
Yes, ma'am. Next question. There are number of laws in India which criminalize sex work, which also puts sex workers at risk of police violence and stigma. Do you think decriminalizing sex work will bring about a change in the society?
I'm not sure, honey, but one thing is there, that once I was attending a meeting of pro-sex work and the sex workers meet. I don't want to use the word sex work because of the reason. And the same girls, those who are in prostitution, they told me that, where were you, ma'am? कहाँ थी आप जब आप 9 साल की उम्र की थी और वेस्ट बंगाल से ट्रैफिक होके मुंबई मुझे ले जाया गया और मुझे केज के अंदर मुझे रखा गया। और जब भी क्लाइंट आते थे और बच्चा मांगते थे तब हमको निकाल के ले जाता था, और उसके बाद काम खत्म हो जाने के बाद हमको फिर वही इसमें क्या नाम है, केज में डाल दिया जाता था। और उसके बाद बोला आज मैं 40 इयर्स की हूँ, मैं 9 साल में ट्रैफिक हुई थी मुंबई में, आज मैं 40 साल की उम्र की हूँ और आज आके आप कह रहे हो कि गोहंग भूखा मरो, पर ये जो है ये पाप काम नहीं करना। I had no answer, because if I can't give them the food, if I can't give them the security, is there any right for me to say go hungry and die, but don't go for this sex work? I don't have the right. So I'm not mentioning any do's and don'ts. I don't using any term regarding ethical and non-ethical. I am not using any right and wrong verdict, but I must say that I was in NCW advisory board when one very respected, very well-meaning chairperson was there, and we published our first book, The Lost Childhood, and regarding the childs are being prostituted or trafficked and being prostituted. That was the first ever book published by NCW. And then the chairperson said, we are visiting the quotas, and the president said, very well meaning, very regarded human being. She said, अगर आप लोग ये धंधा छोड़ना चाहते हो तो हमारे पास आपका नाम भेजो, और हम आपको प्रॉमिस करते हैं कि हम आपको इंदिरा आवास योजना के अंदर आपको एक 1 रूम सेट हाउस दिलाने के लिए कोशिश करेंगे, और आपको महीने में 3,000 रुपया मुहैया करवाने के लिए कोशिश करेंगे। She said, 10,000 औरत उन लोगों ने हमारे पास नाम भेजा। इसके आए जा रहे इसमें उनका नाम और एड्रेस। We could do nothing. So I think I have got no right to give any verdict on that. Yes, but one thing is there that I don't believe. One girl said, I told her that, what is your girl doing? She said, she's in a boarding school. तो मैंने बोला क्यों बोर्डिंग स्कूल में भेजा, उसको क्यों धंधे में नहीं डाला? क्या बोल रहे हो दीदी, उसको धंधे में डाले, हमारा पूरा जिंदगी बर्बाद हो गया, उसका भी जिंदगी बर्बाद करें? I had nothing to say. तो मेरा बच्चा तो बोर्डिंग स्कूल में जाएगा और तुम्हारा बच्चा जो है ना वो धंधे में आ जाए, क्योंकि sex work is the right work and I have got the right to be a sex worker. I don't know what is right or what is wrong. I'm telling you the truth. I had gone through all these experiences. तो अभी जो है, अभी sex work, right or wrong, मैं नहीं बोल सकती हूँ, but those who are in the work or in the, they are being there for such a long time. वो 40 साल उम्र की औरत बोल रही थी 9 साल उम्र में तुम्हें ट्रैफिक होगी, कहाँ थी तब आप 40 साल उम्र में मैं कुछ नहीं जानती besides lifting up my skirts. क्या बोलोगे आप? मैं कुछ बोल नहीं पाई। पिछले 30 साल से मैं इन लोगों के साथ काम किया। I was attacked by them in the Kota itself. ये सोच के कि I am against sex work, I am not against sex work, I am not for sex work. मैं believe नहीं कर सकती हूँ कोई जानबूझ के ऑप्शन रहने के बावजूद भी कोई सेक्स वर्क करने के लिए तैयार है। मैं नहीं मानती हूँ, पर इसके साथ ये भी मानती हूँ मेरा कोई राइट नहीं है। I've got no right to say go hungry and die, but don't do this unethical work. Any further question, please?
Yes, ma'am. The ITPA provides for rehabilitation homes, but many women find these spaces more prison-like than the lives they used to lead by themselves. How should the state negotiate this while women and children are recovered from exploitative environments?
Yes, it's the truth, because I was in the inspection committee of a long time back, when there was only one home for rescued trafficked children in Delhi. I was in the inspecting team with the government officials on the situation of that homes. That was not less than hell. But long time have passed. There are several laws came into being, and the situation is not that bad in many of the cities, but not everywhere. I must admit that. We went to Meerut to recover 50 odd children and women from a situation, from a home taken care of by some sadhus, and the whole night we spent there along with the NCW officials, and we recovered them. So not everywhere it is the same, but yes, there is a provision of Ujwala scheme, which is far less than the adequate. Yes, there are some provisions, but again, laws are there, but implementation is lacking in implementations. We are supposed to give them a more humanitarian, more open, and more right-based approach with a dwelling space. It is difficult. I can see from the government side or from the authorities side, it's difficult. It is difficult to give them that open space because of their security. But I have got no right to, in the name of security, I am locking them up, another prison-like situations. I have no right for that. But there should be some kind of space which my organization is practicing. There's a midway home. Once they are above 18, then we take them, we give them the opportunity to be independent houses where they are managing their finances, they are managing their day-to-day chores of managing the home. They are working outside, and there also you have to have some kind of vigilance because of their risk factor. But what I want to say that it's very, very difficult to give them the right kind of rehabilitation because of the reasons. I may not sound unsympathetic to them, but these are very, very important issues. Why the exploited girls trapped into trafficking are very difficult to be rehabilitated, where the cases of missing child, where the cases of abducted children, where the cases of rape victims a little easier than this because of the reason. It is based on my personal experience. I may not be sounded, unsympathetic, but working with them for such a long time, I really found out that it is important to know that these girls, most of them, they have got 3 I component in their I, impulsiveness, impatience, and instant action to achieve their goal. Many of us also having the same trait, but as a group, it is very important to know that why, along with the poverty and gender discrimination, etc., unhappy home, lack of education, when they are trafficked, another component is there. These 3, one is impulsiveness, शायद मिल जाएगा, जाऊं तो सही, एक बार देखूं तो सही. दूसरी है impatience, और तीसरी है कि हमको बहुत पैसा कमाना है, अभी कमाएंगे तो ये रास्ता से क्यों ना जाए. ये हमारे में बहुत बच्चों में ऐसे है, हमारे में है, पर एक कॉमन फैक्टर अभी जो 3-4 हजार लड़कियों से मैंने बात किया, उसमें देखा कि ये एक कंपोनेंट है जो उन लोगों को अलग कैटेगरी में रखा than the others, rape victims or the other victims. After the victimization, common factors in their personalities is, देखो बेटा, nothing to lose now. They have got this attitude that हमने bottom point देख लिया. डर कब होता है? जब मैं नहीं जानती हूँ सामने मेरा क्या है. ज्यादा से ज्यादा क्या होगा? फिर से कोठे में तो ले जाएगा ना हमें. इसमें से बहुत सारे, रानी के जैसे बहुत सारे लड़कियां on their own, they are doing very well. Rani is heading Koshish Outfit, is a entrepreneurship, is a food catering, entrepreneurship by the traffic victims. She is heading that and teaching lots of girls and women in this scheme. But many are there, those who are re-trafficked or they are languishing in some exploitative situation. Maybe now they are not that exploited because they are experienced enough to lead their life independently. मैं एक कोठा रखती हूँ, 4 लड़कियों रखा, मैं दीदी बन गई, मतलब कोठा वाली और जो प्रैक्टिशनर, उसके बीच में एक दीदी होती है जो खुद भी कमाती है, खुद भी धंधा करती है, दूसरों को भी लगाती है. बहुत सारी लड़कियां, at least 25% of my rescued girls, they have gone back. तो एक तो ruthlessness है, nothing to lose attitude. और क्या होगा मेरे साथ? जो पिछले बार हुआ था वही होगा ना. दूसरा है, they don't believe you, distrust. ये इसका कारण वो नहीं है, कारण हम है, the society है, वो हमको बिलीव नहीं कर सकते. Several times उन लोगों ने बिलीव किया, उन लोगों ने मिसप्लेस ऑफ ट्रस्ट हुआ, उन लोगों ने फिर से जिसके ऊपर ट्रस्ट किया, ब्रीच ऑफ ट्रस्ट किया. तीसरी है एक चीज, बार्गेनिंग एटीट्यूड. उधर जाके ये डिफेंस मैकेनिज्म, उन लोगों ने क्या देखा कि मुझे मारे धरे कुछ करे, मैं बोलूंगी मुझे ये चाहिए, नहीं तो मैं आगे नहीं बढ़ूंगी. अल्टीमेटली वो कभी कभार सक्सेसफुल हुए. ये एक मैकेनिज्म. वो लोग जब ये होम में आते हैं, होम कोई जो क्या बोलते हैं इसको, ये जो होम होता है उज्ज्वला स्कीम के अंदर, और नहीं तो कोई भी गवर्नमेंट होम होता है, नहीं तो प्राइवेट होम होता है, बहुत ज्यादा डिफरेंस नहीं है उसका। जो हम प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं बहुत ज्यादा फर्क नहीं है। हम भी चाहते हैं कि है, हम जो बोलते हैं तू हमारा बात मान, क्यों नहीं मानती है? तुझे ये खाना है, खाना चाहे जितना भी खराब हो तुझे खाना पड़ेगा। मैं अगर तुझे बोलूंगी जा बाथरूम जाके साफ कर, तुझे करना पड़ेगा। तो वो बोलते हैं अगर इधर ही करे, बिना पैसे से ये काम करे, तो क्यों ना मैं कोठे में वापस जाऊं। ये जो डिस्ट्रस्ट है ना, ये हमारे तरफ से हमने इसको बढ़ावा दिया। We have made them, believe that we are no different from them. Maybe we are not asking them for commercial sexual exploitation, but we are getting money from the government or from any donors. So whatever we do, they have to listen. Then they practice their bargaining attitude. उसके बाद जो है ना, धीरे धीरे ये बच्चों क्या करते हैं आपको मालूम है? एक डबल एंटिटीज डेवलप करते हैं। आपके साथ एक बात करें, उसके बाद पीछे जाके वो और कुछ प्लान करें, क्योंकि आपको तो बिलीव कर ही नहीं सकते हैं वो। और उसके बाद कोई बच्चा आ जाता है, कोई आ जाता है अथॉरिटी के साथ मिलके दूसरे बच्चे को पकड़वा देते हैं, उसने ना ये काम किया, उसने ना ये बोला। तो ये हम लोगों को देखना पड़ेगा कि ये जो एटीट्यूड उसमें डेवलप करने के लिए मौका ना दिया जाए, उसको ये ना सोचने दिया जाए कि तुम हमको ट्रस्ट करोगे तो हम फिर से ब्रीच ऑफ ट्रस्ट करेंगे। ये हमारे ऊपर बहुत ज्यादा डिपेंड करता है। ये उनमें उनका इतना दोष नहीं है जो हमारा है, जो अथॉरिटीज है उनको है। और एक बात मैंने नोटिस किया कि जो बच्चे आते हैं ना, जो लड़कियां आते हैं, वो आपका जो अथॉरिटीज है, अगर वो वेल मीनिंग हो, अगर वो सच में कुछ करना चाहते हैं, फिर भी वो क्या करते हैं, वो आपको जो है ना, आपका वल्नरेबिलिटीज जो है, इमोशनल वल्नरेबिलिटीज वो देखते हैं। जैसे मैं बोलूं ये मेरे बच्चे हैं, ये मेरे बच्चे हैं, वो जब मेरे कोई एम्प्लॉयज के साथ, नहीं तो कोई ड्राइवर के साथ, नहीं तो बाहर कोई किसी के साथ भागेगा, तो एक बार भी नहीं सोचेगा ये हमको सच बोल रहा था कि ये हमको और एक नई जिंदगी देंगे। तो अभी जो है ना, अभी everybody like others, they want to have a home for themselves. And one main thing you have to understand, that they can go to any extent that for getting a smartphone. एक लड़की हमें बोला था कि हम क्यों स्मार्टफोन चाहते हैं, आप तो हमें इधर रखोगे जहाँ लड़कियां सारी ट्रैफिक लड़कियां हैं, तो हम चाहते हैं हम शादी करें। और दूसरा, आप शादी के लिए जितना भी कोशिश करो, किसी को शादी होगा, किसी को नहीं होगा, और नहीं होगा तो हम कैसे दूसरे लड़का देखेंगे? पहले स्मार्टफोन लेके उसको, वो डिफरेंट एप्स है उसमें से फ्रेंड करते हैं, फिर उसके साथ शादी करके वो चले जाते हैं। तो इन द प्रोसेस sometimes they are trapped, and they don't believe it that they are being trapped again. They believe that they want to go for a marital. Somebody was asking me some question. Please do. Is there any question?
Yes, ma'am. How are the cases of human trafficking proceed in Indian courts? What is the rate of conviction in such cases?
Yes, I have got some data on that. It's a really very, very bad situation, because of the reason that conviction होने के लिए उसके पहले you have to have a long procedure, court procedure. First, you have to prove that she is trafficked by somebody, and then it is a crime, and then conviction. That to prove a person guilty of this is very difficult. At the is now the time. Now मेरे पास जो data है, I've got the data for last year. In India, West Bengal and Andhra Pradesh are the epicenter of trafficking in India. A study published in 2019 showed that only 3 out of 429 human traffickers in Andhra, West Bengal convicted in past 10 years. And data also shows, government data showed that 93% of human trafficking cases sent to courts in 2016 were pending trial, and the conviction rate in cases where trials had taken place was 54%. Anything else, Honey?
Yes, ma'am. There's a question from Irma. Please continue.
Yeah,
Please.
ma'am. Ma'am, this is Irma. Ma'am, I've been doing research during my MPhil, and yes, I'm continuing with my MPhil research on PhD also, like the same topic. So my question is, like on the practical questions I have, like in the rural areas, they are intended to start working or say assisting their parents in childhood. Like most of the times a middle class family does or a poor family does. So the child is trafficked from the minimum age of 6 years or say 4 years to 18 or above. Even if not trafficked, the parents are compelled out of poverty to send their children to work. So why not the skill trainings are incorporated with the school being SSA or Kasturba Gandhi? Like even after they are being rehabilitated, they are being sent to Kasturba Gandhi, basically in Jharkhand. My research work is Jharkhand. So like, don't they know that they can be like, they can start a skill training? Why to wait till the age of 18 or to acquire the skills or put them into jobs? And practical things are that the socioeconomic conditions in the rural areas are very different from the urban areas or any other else. So why to wait till the age of 18? Like fine, it's the child labor laws or other laws, but why not to start the training below, like from below 18? And then when she is 18, they can be put into work or something. And moreover, the second wave, if we talk about the second wave of trafficking, which may rise when they are once exposed to the trafficking area, or when they know about the economic gain, basically the economic gain after entering into this trafficking business. So the second wave of trafficking may rise, and when the economic side of trafficking is seen. So what would you like to say on this? Like there are so much of consequences. Like even if we cannot stop migration, which is difficult, and we may recover and rescue, but how can we ensure the safety?
Yes, very good question. First thing is, we should not be stopping migration. At the starting, I said that if I sent my daughter or son for studying US or America, then why I want to be, I want to stop my, other people for, just one second, other children to be, just one second, my is going out of power. Yes. So I can't think of stopping migration. The question remains that when the people, the parents are going for work abroad, then they are taking their children along with, they're deprived of the school training, school education. You mentioned about Kasturba Gandhi, this skill training. Yes. First thing is, you have to see the curriculum of those training. First thing is, you have to have a marketable training program, and giving 3 months training, swimming, stitching, or something else, you can't expect that one child will be getting her livelihood by learning 3 months stitching course, which Kasturba Gandhi and Lal Bahadur Shastri, this teaching scheme is about. But yes, Jharkhand, there are one of our very good friend, and Sanjay, and he, in his organization, he started giving this girls training of home guards and guards, or some kind of training for that. And in Hyderabad, somebody, some organization like Prajwala, they are giving them marketable skill training program. They are, to some extent, they are successful, but not always. And you have to see the curriculum of the skill training, the duration of time, and the linkage between the market and the trainings and the trainees. So you have to see that. If that is done, I think you can do some more useful, you can have some progress in this matter, and the girls can go for good jobs. But time duration is very important. Skill, market-based, marketable training is important. And who is going to give them that much time? Just tell me. Yes, please.
So, if Shivangi, can I just add something?
Yes, please.
Basically, when we are talking about skill training, one must understand that the skill trainings or the vocational trainings that are available currently are all designed considering marginalized or people who do not come from a economically privileged background. That is fine, but when you're dealing with a survivor of trafficking, stakes are different, situation is different, the techniques required are different, support, assistance is completely different. And so that is why it is not one size fits all kind of a solution that can be implemented. Thus, one of the reasons, of course, there is not ample of resource available to provide comprehensive training to all of the survivors. That is one. Second, the training, of course, there are organizations that are having certain best practices that have kind of inspired many to revamp their own rehabilitation and vocational skill training strategies. But at the same time, the government also needs to give enough space. The system has to, institutions have to allow enough space and time for the survivors to cope with the training. Because again, the trauma just never leaves. It is a long lasting, there are long lasting impacts of it. So that is where, it is not that a 3-month training on is going to fetch them jobs. It has to be much more deliberated and meticulous in its training. Yeah.
Yes.
Shivangi, I'm done. Any other questions?
Yes, please.
Ma'am. Why is there silence on news channels regarding human trafficking cases in India?
I'm telling you the reason. A long time back, almost 30 years back, my first trafficked child from Bangladesh, I dealt with the case. I was the official translator at the court of law. And one journalist from a very reputed leading news channel and print media, he came and told me, from now onwards, 1 month, I'll work on this news, and every morning you will see the news item. But after 1 month, I'll stop doing so, because of the reason, then that news will have no news value. So you see in the newspaper, lots of children are missing, lots of news of recovery. 50 children are rescued from somewhere. 30 people are rescued from brothel. After that, what happened? No news on that, because that news has got no news value. You have to, first, you have to call the media people, those who have got the resources, what should I say? I don't want to hurt anybody's emotions. They have to be somebody known people in the media houses, print media and other news channels. Then only they'll become, for once, they'll be coming and they'll be taking the bite, exposing the girl's identity and their face. And somebody came from a very, very well-reputed, famous channel. She came and she said that I want to go for rescue operations with you, and you have to show me the details, how you rescue. I said, no, nothing doing, because I'm not going to take you because of the reason that you are not allowed. You are not allowed to be, to expose the identity of the children. She said, I'm taking the challenge. And tomorrow, I'll be arranging for a rescue operation. And I'll, publish it. I'll show it in my news channel. She did. And so the media people, they want sensationalization of the facts. And another, you may have seen that we have got some books. We are having some books on ethics of the media. We have got some books, and they're a very leading newspaper. They took the photograph. Some of the very well-known reporters, she followed me, and I trusted her. She took some photographs of the girls are coming down the stairs of the quotas, and the faces were shown. Immediately, I wrote the mail to them withdrawing that photograph. So, some of them in the news, print media and the news channel, they are sensitized enough, but I don't know how much scope they have got to give this, news item in their channels or print media. I don't have.
I would just
Yes.
like to add something, Roma ma'am, with your due permission. So,
Please.
see, as much as I don't have even, I'm not even close to what ma'am's experience is, but there is a certain social stigma norms that are also attached. So the kind prostitution in general, whether forced or taken up by will, the perception and the receival of the same in society is very different. So when you're talking about the psyche of the viewer, they may for a second have the sympathy, but I doubt the society is willing to take up the responsibility like they would for a rape victim. Because the parameters involved in a case of human trafficking, especially child commercial sexual exploitation, there are several societal factors that lead to it as well. And so it is, of course, as ma'am said, it does not hold that kind of news value. After a certain point, the organizations who are practicing ethical reporting of this are they would never give out the information that truly makes the news sensational. On top of it, the viewers themselves there's a certain hush about it. Everyone knows that the crime is happening, but they do not want to speak of it because they want to think in the they want to be receptive towards themselves, thinking that this does not connect with us, this is not around us, which is, in my opinion, and I think ma'am would also agree, which is the most dangerous part, because they become complacent after a point of time. It creates much more wider paraphernalia for someone to enter their private spaces and become a perpetrator or traffic a person. If media were to ever take up this issue as not just a news bite, but a relevant humanitarian crisis, then perhaps the situation of reporting of human trafficking issue would be different. There would be a mass mobilization like what we've seen for women's rights and empowerment. And if that happens, then perhaps we can see substantial change in the attitude and in the overall perception and receival of the issue by larger crowd who are not directly or even for that fact that much indirectly connected to the issue.
Yes, very much true. Yes. And one thing I just wanted to add, that you may have some questions regarding what are the reforms needed. Everything is not a negative side. There is a silver lining that we are working for last 30 years and we are seeing some results also. But we also felt that some kind of reforms is needed right now. One is human trafficking should be categorized as heinous crimes like murder, rape, robbery, etc. Court proceedings should be completed within a logical time frame of 2-3 months. The prosecutors should be well oriented or trained dealing such cases, knowing their one senior judge, very respected. I was with a trafficked victim who identified, very brave, who identified her traffickers and took them to the court, and she was withstanding the harassment, the threat in the courtroom. I was with her, and the judge said, "No, you are not allowed in the courtroom. Let her be." 3 accused were there, 3 accused with their 3 lawyers, and the judge said, no, the women police are there, they'll be assisting her. The 2 women polices are sitting at the back bench of the courtroom and having gutka or chewing some tobacco, and she was alone in the witness box, and I was not allowed. And believe me, after 3-4 years, I was giving the training of the senior police officials and the judges. I mentioned this case without naming anybody, of course, and the judge came after the meeting was over. At the lunch hour, I was sitting in a corner and he came. "I'm sorry, because I have done the wrong thing." But not everybody will be doing the same thing. So you must know the child is vulnerable. Child is withstanding this kind of threat from the lawyers, and the prosecutor is overburdened with his job. He is hopping around the one courtroom to another courtroom, and he has got some human compulsion also, and some kind of this is a job, ठीक है, और एक date ले लेंगे. This is, the prosecutor should be well oriented or trained dealing with such cases, and adequate victim compensation should be granted not only in law but aggressive implementation is needed of that. If the child knows that 7 years or 8 years she has to be in the imprisoned state of affair like the custody home, or the perpetrators are going abroad and going around with showing their muscles, क्या हुआ, कुछ तो नहीं कर पाया, तो इसलिए it should be done. Victim protection law should be there. Victim law should be implemented inside the court and outside also. Victim protection, the provision and the compensation, it should be there. Now it is there. Now it is. It used to be some 20,000 or 25. Now it is 50,000 rupees. But it is not been given. Only one of our child has got that. That also given in her name in a fixed deposit. It will be given to her after she becomes 18, and I don't know how she has to do for that. Another is punishment of the perpetrators should be enhanced and implemented rigorously. The punishment, one girl, I was talking of this girl who braved all the audacities in the courtroom. Her perpetrators were, given the punishment for 7 years. After 2 years, they came out. It should be non-bailable and the punishment should be enhanced. The child was still in the protection home, and those perpetrators were out. So, if it can be, these reform policies should be added, I think that it will give a positive result. And another question, I'm thinking that you may have this question, that what is the silence on news channel? You have already got that answer. What are the reform needed in the stop human trafficking? That also I have given. And if you have got any other question, please ask me. I'm ready.
Yes, ma'am. Since we are past the scheduled time, we'll take one last question.
Please.
It's from Ria. Other than increasing the demand for pornography, how has COVID-19 affected trafficking?
Yes, because first thing is, it is they're inside. They're inside. They're not able to go out. But today itself, I came to know of some cases in the ambulances. It is supposed to be carrying the COVID victims. The trafficking is being done inside the ambulances. It is done. It is going. It is happening. And the second thing is, besides the pornography, all of them, most of them, they have got the smartphone with them, and they are having regular interaction. And somebody within this COVID period also, they come in the with the proposal of marriage. They're being married with 50 visitors, less than 50, 10, 15. They're taking the child, writing that I'm going to marry this child. And some other people, they're waiting this lockdown will be over, and they'll be going to have the marriage. And the trafficker or the perpetrators or somebody, maybe some of them, they're having good intentions also. They are waiting for the lockdown will be over, but in the meantime, they are having video chat. They are having all sorts of their videos, between them. Good thing that Chinese apps, there are 47 or more than some 100 odd, some apps are discontinued, but they are having some through Facebook, they're going. Each one of them have their Facebook account. So it's going on. Cyber, we are not able to take cyber crime lightly. So this digital platform is on. And so now, when a long time back, we used to go for rescue operation or recovery operations, now it is inside your house, inside, and they're operating it from inside your house, inside your home. So it's going on. Yes, and any other question?
I just
No, ma'am.
want to add one last sentence to what ma'am has said. Right now, there are cases, but there will be flood of instances as gradually the country continues to open. And once the borders open, situation will be out of control. There have been a couple of reports in the during lockdown, and even now that are saying that increasingly families who are coming from marginalized backgrounds, they want to send their children for work. And so because businesses have been affected, industries have been affected, and we work with communities where people have lost everything that they had possibly built in last 10 years. So possibly all the hard work that had gone in, very soon it is all going to start crumbling down. Hence, that is where I think now, under, of course, guidance from someone like Roma ma'am, now more than ever is the need for a mass mobilization to end trafficking, because the situation is soon to be out of control. It requires national, international level attention to the issue. Over to you, Shiva.
One thing is, this is very disheartening for me. I have spent my 40 years of my life, doing a little to prevent this. And now another 40 years, now the young people like you should be taking the cue. I want to pass on the baton to you so that you are the frontliner now, and I'll be going back. I'm 72 years old, and how long I'm supposed to be in that field? No, I don't want to. And so now you are the young brigadiers, you have to be the frontliner and come forward to do the work. Thank you very much.
With this, it's time to wrap up the session. SEPA CJS would like to thank both Professor Dibabrata and Rani ma'am for giving us their time and sharing their knowledge and experience with us. It was surely a huge learning experience for us. We would also like to thank each and everyone present here for making this event a huge success. We hope to host you all again in our future events. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. And I thank Janki also for taking the trouble to sit with Rani all through. And thank you very much, Shivangi and your team, for calling me. And it's a pleasure for me to be with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. It was an amazing learning from your great insights, I would say, the fieldwork experience and all. I hope we are able to interact more in the future related to this topic.
Thank you.
Cool. Okay, then I'm ending the meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.